Hey guys, what's up? It's Krista with Catnap Reader, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. This is a book that I've been wanting to read for a really long time. I've owned it for a few months now, and I actually have never read a book by Colleen Hoover, which is really ridiculous because I actually own quite a few Colleen Hoover books, and I've actually owned a few of them for a really long time, for many years now. To be honest, I feel like the main reason is because I read a lot more sci-fi and fantasy than I do contemporary, so I know that that has a lot to do with it, but nonetheless, I really honestly have been wanting to pick up Colleen Hoover's books for a long time, and I am so happy that I did. I was not disappointed with this book. I cannot recommend this book enough. This book is absolutely amazing. This book hit really close to home for me. I do want to warn you guys that this book deals with some really tough subjects. It deals with marriage problems and infertility and just struggling in general in life. And it's definitely a very sad book, but it's also really enduring, you know, to see what they go through and to see their growth was really amazing to me. Like, I really enjoyed watching how their relationship grew and like what became of it. And I really enjoyed how the story jumped back and forth between the present and the past. That was something that I didn't think that I was going to care for, but I actually found myself really enjoying it once I got the hang of it and realized, like, you know, what was going on, and I was able to really follow along. It became really enjoyable for me to be able to see, you know, really the character growth, because like you're flipping back and forth between the present and the past, and the past that you're going back to is like 7 years ago, so there's quite a bit of time between, you know, the present and the past that you're going back and forth between, so you can actually see quite a bit of character growth, which is really amazing. And what I really loved about this book was that the end of the book, she didn't end it on this fairy tale happy ending. I mean, don't get me wrong, they were still happily married at the end, but it wasn't, you know, that perfect fairy tale ending that a lot of, you know, writers will do in their books, and that's something that I really appreciate. I feel like I could relate to the story so much more knowing that this is something that would really happen in true life, you know what I mean? Instead of knowing like this is something that would never happen. This book means so much to me. Like, I can relate to this book on so many levels. I'm not going to get into any like personal history or anything like that, but I will just throw out there that if you are somebody who is struggling with infertility, please be advised that this book will be hard to read. As somebody who has gone through the motions and been experiencing these type of issues myself, I know what it's like, and I definitely have to admit that this story did get me very choked up at times, and it was hard to read at times, and there was times where I felt like I needed to put the story down and just take a breath and, you know, just kind of take it all in and just step back and detach myself from the story and from the characters and just remind myself, like, it's just a story, you know. But that was the thing. I really felt like Colleen Hoover took all my feelings and emotions and just put them in words and put them into this novel, and it was amazing to me how relatable this story was. Like, a lot of the things that I've been feeling and going through, she really put into this novel. To me, that was amazing, because a lot of times when you're going through this type of experience, you feel like you're so alone and you feel like there's nobody else ever in the world who could have experienced what you're experiencing. But it was really nice to just read this story and be able to relate to it on so many different levels, and I really enjoyed the characters in this story. Graham and Quinn were absolutely adorable. I found myself falling in love with them. That's not something that I normally can say with stories. A lot of times I feel very detached from the characters, and I kind of find myself feeling like I could care less what happens to them. There's many books that I've read where one character dies, and it could be a character that I've been following the whole story, and I'm like, oh well, who cares, you know? And that's not really how I want to be feeling, especially when I'm investing my time in a book, especially big books. You know, it's like you really want to feel invested in the character, you know? You want to feel those emotions, like you're attached to the character, and that's really something that Colleen Hoover, I feel like she expertly did. Like, I was so attached to these characters. I totally felt every emotion that they felt. Like, I really was rooting for them. Like, I wanted them to succeed. I absolutely love Graham as a character. I felt like he was amazing. Yes, he did screw up. Yes, he did, you know, he did what he did. But, you know, not that his actions are justified in any way, but I just To me, it was really amazing to just see his character growth and to see, you know, the fact that he recognized it and he knew that it was wrong. And what I really found absolutely adorable was the wooden box that they had. I really enjoyed that aspect of the story. The entire book, it kind of was like this ominous thing that you didn't really know what it was. Like, you knew there was this wooden box. You didn't know what was in it. You didn't know what it represented. Like, you really knew nothing other than it was a wooden box that they kind of seen it. You didn't really know anything other than the fact that it was a wooden box. I really liked where Colleen Hoover took that part of the story, like the fact that it had these letters in it that really meant so much to them. And I absolutely loved the fact that Graham had continued putting letters in the box all these years. He had been sneaking them in without Quinn knowing. Like, that to me, just, you know, little touches like that really gave the story life and just gave it so much more meaning to me. Like, those little extra touches, the little extra details of this story really made the story stand out to me, and I'm definitely giving this story 5 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend this book. To be honest with you, 5 stars is not something that I give very lightly. I believe the last book that I read that I gave 5 stars was Taylor Jenkins Reid's The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which is another amazing book. If you haven't read it, I highly suggest you do. But since I read that book, I mean, I finished that book probably 6 months ago, 7 months ago, something like that. I have not had any other 5-star reads. I am trying to be a more critical reader lately. There's been so many books that I've read that have just been like, meh, you know, like, they're okay, but they're not great, you know, like, it's nothing that I'm like staying up at night pondering or bragging about to anybody. Like, they're just kind of like, you know, I'm glad I read them, but I kind of could take it or leave it type of thing. And I really have to say, this is not one of those books. This is a book that I will definitely cherish for a very long time. I will probably reread it. Honestly, I read the first like 3/4 of the book, and then the last quarter of the book I listened to it on audiobook, just for the simple fact that I did have some errands that I had to run yesterday. And honestly, I finished the entire book in one sitting, aside from the fact that I originally picked it up when I was on my lunch break at work a couple of weeks back. But like I said, to be honest, I only read like 9 or 10 pages on my lunch break, so I'm really not counting that. So technically, other than those 9 pages, I read the entire book start to finish yesterday. When I picked it up, I started back from the beginning. Like, I went ahead and reread the 9 pages because I really wanted to be able to like take the whole story in. I think it took me about 6 hours to read this book, so it really is a fast read. Like I said, be prepared. It's definitely an emotional roller coaster, but it's well worth it. I promise you the payout at the end is well worth it. This is definitely a book that I recommend wholeheartedly, and I really hope that you guys pick it up and check it out because you won't regret it. One of the pages in the book that really stood out to me that kind of really, I felt like took all my emotions and just put them into words so perfectly is basically page 69, and I really wanted to share that with you guys. This is actually, just real quick, this is talking about they're trying to get pregnant, and she told Graham that she's ovulating, and so of course she expected him to finish inside of her, and he doesn't. He ends up pulling out, and she's really upset by that. Like, it really hurt her. She's crying and she's upset, and so yeah, so that's where they're at right now. So I just wanted to read this page to you. I thought I'd give you a little bit of backstory so you wouldn't be totally confused like what's going on. So just keep that in mind. So it starts off by saying, I can't stop the tears from falling, but I try anyway. I pull the blanket up to my eyes, and Graham rolls off the bed and grabs his pants. My quiet tears begin to turn to sobs, and my shoulders begin to shake. It's not like me to do this in front of him. I usually save this for my long showers. As Graham grabs his pillow off the bed, part of him looks like he wants to console me, while the other part looks like he wants to scream at me. The angry part wins out, and he begins to walk toward the door. Graham, I whisper. My voice stops him in his tracks, and he turns around and faces me. He seems so heartbroken, I don't even know what to say. I wish I could say I'm sorry for wanting a baby more than I want him, but that wouldn't help because it would be a lie. I'm not sorry. I'm bitter that he doesn't understand what sex has become to me over the last few years. He wants me to continue to want him, but I can't when sex and making love have always given me hope that it might be that 1 in a million chance I'll get pregnant. And all the sex and love making that leads to the hope then leads to the moment all that hope is overcome by devastation. Over the years, the entire routine and the emotions it brings started running together. I couldn't separate the sex from the hope, and I couldn't separate the hope from the devastation. Sex became hope, became devastation. Sex, hope, devastation, devastation, devastation. Now it all feels devastating to me. He'll never understand that. He'll never understand that it isn't him I don't want, it's the devastation. To me, that page right there just was so profound, and it just meant so much to me. Like, it really hit home for me. It was just so relatable for me, and I really feel like Colleen Hoover did such an amazing job with this book. I can't recommend it enough, honestly. If you guys haven't checked it out, I highly recommend you do so. I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And in the comments down below, let me know, have any of you read this book, and did you enjoy it? And if so, what was it that you liked about it? I would love to hear your thoughts on today's topic. Please let me know in the comments. I would love to start up a discussion with you guys and hear more about your thoughts on this book. Once again, thank you so much for joining me today, and until next time, I'll see y'all later. Bye!